As a Calypsonian, I had won 3 crowns in 1976. I went on in that same 1976 to be first runner-up in the International Calypso competition. I decided shortly after that we needed to start organizing Calypso tents because there were so many Calypsonians in the competitions. So we wanted to establish something like an elimination tent. So we, eventually organized the Sanctum of Wisdom and Fun. And that was my Calypso tent. It was probably the second Calypso tent at the time because Lord Superior, I think, had done one before. And with that, a few years later, Kenneth Lord Blake went on to win the International Calypso competition. And from my earliest childhood, my mother always encouraged me to save books and papers and things about myself and about the family and others. And when Blake won the Calypso competition, we had just organized the Resident Artists Inc. For the local Calypsonians. So I figured, well, let us put together a tribute to him, which we did at Sapphire Beach. And everyone had to do their comments in song, with the exception of Bill LaMotta, who was the keynote speaker. And even in introducing everyone, I was the MC, I had to introduce them in songs as well. Well, that booklet in 1979 was very important to me. And I went to St. Thomas Graphics to see if they would be willing to help me organize and print the booklet. And there was Judy, a serious, pleasant, smoking, a smoky voice, in the sense that it wasn't light, but there was a touch of business, firmness, and an underpinning of warmth, and I just kind of liked her from there. And she took me through the process very slowly. You're going to need this, you're going to need this, and I like, how do I get a lot of this stuff? Well, just try the Daily News. Don't you know anybody over there? Yeah, it was like, hey, that's an idea. St. Clair Moraine, who was working there at the time, I went over, I talked with him, and they had a bunch of pictures of the previous Calypso tents and, photographs of the Calypsonians and everything. So we were able to pull that together. And he helped me put them in the format that she wanted. I took them there and we got that booklet together. And waiting for the price, it was one of those things where he says, I know you think I'm going to kill you, huh? I didn't know what to say or what to do. But she said, I'll tell you what, if you can raise a couple of $100, go to some of the folks on Main Street and so on, and tell them you're doing this tribute to Blakey and you need some money. And we'll set up some ads. And she started to explain to me, you can charge $25 for a quarter page. And it's always good to drop the half page a little. That would be like 35, and a full page, 75. I said, wow, okay, we went around, we got a few ads and it paid for the booklet. And just the way she guided me through it, I knew it was someone that I had to stay close to develop that skill. And as the years roll along and we still continue to try and build the tents, in 1982, we noticed the Carnival Committee had stopped doing their booklets. So I picked up the idea, well, let me do a booklet that will be a little different. Pictures of the previous carnival but the songs of the Calypsonians of the year before. And we put those songs in, and even some of the songs of the current year. But all the pictures, of course, was of the parade and the village of the previous year. So that was so, helpful putting this booklet together. So by the second year, Mr. Richard Carlwood, who was in charge of the village, he saw what I was doing. He said, man, this is a good idea you have. He said, you don't have to worry about it. Bring them in here and sell them, which was a great idea. So we started to sell them. People were buying them, so we were able to turn the money over into an account that we had to try to help the Calypsonians, as we moved along, help to build the tents and various things, because now other Calypsonians were developing their own Calypso tents. So, but she tell us, you need to get about 400 or 500, and it was a task as nobody else wanted to sell. It was just me, but just her being such an encouraging force, she became really a delight of my life when it came to the whole idea of publishing. And it was from there I realized, like, hey, I'm like an anthologist, so I not only was collecting the songs for the booklet, but some people needed help with collecting things with poetry and stuff. And I would help them along doing those kind of things as well. And there was Judy again, ready to help me get it together. And a lot of it at no cost. And by 1986, of course, the Carnival Committee decided to bring back the booklets. So we stopped doing what we were doing. We tried to encourage the committee. We'll use the guy's song, put them in the books every year. But, it was hard to get them to appreciate the value of something like that. So they never did. But Judy, one day, it was in I took a booklet of the tribute to Blakey down to the library, right there by Fish Wharf. And I asked June Lindquist if she would like this. Said, sure. I wish people would do like you, because there's a law where all printed material should be put in the archives. And I said, oh yeah? Well, guess what? I have hundreds of funeral booklet, testimonial booklets at home. And I would be glad to donate them to the library, because I'm wondering, with, my holding on to them, this way, the whole community could see what I have. So from 1979, being encouraged by June Lindquist, I started with my collection, donating it to the library. Well, guess what I did? Went straight over to Judy. I said, Judy, do you or anybody donate an extra copy of what you have here to the library? Said, well, I would like to, but I just don't have the time to take the stuff down. You want to take them? Just like that. And she must have had about 200 to 300 booklets, leaflets, brochures. And I'm talking about funeral booklets, testimonial booklets, even books that people had written. And I would, as it was quite a trot for me, so I would take 50, and I would walk from there straight down to the library and give them to June. And she was so happy to receive this stuff. And she said, imagine St. Thomas Graphics is the only place that does this. That's what June said, when when I started bringing the things in. And I tried to contact other printers and stuff like that. Then eventually I started going to Supreme Printing, and then they started saving, and they would always have a box for me to come and pick up as well. And so Judy helped to inspire that kind of work with me. And since 1979, I have not missed a month taking stuff to the public library. And I learned from Edgar Lake. When Edgar Lake said to me one time, he said, one of the mistakes we tend to make is trying to keep everything in one place. But if you spread the material out, everything can't be destroyed. If there's a fire or some terrible accident, you will have some things preserved somewhere else. And, he has really been one of the wonderful inspirations, for me as well. But Judy has been really the person that really helped to prod me along with wanting to write. And as a matter of fact, one day we sat, in one of those times when I had a few minutes, she got a little pensive. And then she said, Kwabena, you and I need to write a real book on Virgin Islands heroes. No bunch of silly adjectives. She said we'll put the person's name and just the facts about them, what we actually know about people, and not all of that. And I said, superfluous? Yeah, nonsense. I mean, and regrettably, when I did find some time to ask, about us pulling together this thing, it just, I think our health had started to, deteriorate. And regrettably, we never got to it. And that would have been one monument to someone who proved to be a Virgin Islander at its best, because like I always tell people, the accident of birth have nothing to do with being what you are. And I mean a Virgin Islander. You must have that sense of place. You must have that passion to support and defend the culture and way of life. You must be ready to invest in that place and speak up for that place. That was Judy.